Good morning and welcome back to the channel. We're not actually in morning, we've just tipped into the afternoon. So we've come away for the bank holiday weekend. It's probably been weeks since the bank holiday weekend by the time this video comes out. However, that is because I've got lots of content in the pipeline that I hope you've all enjoyed. And if you've not yet watched, you consider going back and having a look. If you wouldn't mind clicking like and subscribe, I'd also appreciate that. So today we've come away for the bank holiday weekend. We're over in East Yorkshire and a lot of people had said to consider Blacktoft Sands. So today we're at Blacktoft Sands. So I'm hoping that we'll see Marsh Harrier, perhaps some Avocet, and who knows what else. So come along for the journey and see what I see. So arrived at the first hide, and this is the Reedlin hide, which is a newly built hide. So it's been newly built, I think he said a couple of years ago. 2 tiers, so we've got an upstairs and a downstairs. Up the stairs to the upper area, and then down into the lower area. So I've got a little egret that's actually just fishing in the gully of water between the hide and the main pond. It's heavily obstructed by the reeds, but actually I quite like that. Focusing is an issue. I'm having to manually focus because the reeds are constantly what the camera is trying to lock onto. Despite I've got animal eye recognition on and it's set to birds, it's still picking up the reeds. However, I really like the fact that it's obstructed by the reeds and it creates some really nice green banding through a beautifully white bird. And that creates something a little bit special. So it's worth the effort of putting in to try and get those shots. And what I would say is, as long as the eye's not obstructed by those green blades of grass, reeds, the fact that the eye is pin sharp means that the photograph is completely usable and a little bit different, a little bit something unusual. And it's always the case when you come to places like this, you've got to exploit every opportunity that presents itself. So it's quite unusual to have a little egret this close to the hide. So I'm going to make the most of it. For the first egret photograph, I've edited it in colour, and what you can see here is I've totally muted down the green tones within the image. For the second image, I've got the same composition, but I've put this in black and white, and I think this lends itself much clearly to the mono photograph. Let me know what you think in the comments and which photograph you prefer. was just commenting to Jen that Marsh Harriers always seem to know exactly where the hides are and do not get very close to them ever. And as I was saying that, a female Marsh Harrier just got closer and closer and closer. I managed to get a couple of shots off as it was really quite close, hovering over the reeds. What's incredible is it's freezing cold out there, and yet you can see the heat haze coming off the reed bed. That reed bed must hold the heat really quite well, and so you get this shimmering air over the top of the reed bed. And quite often that's why when people photograph Marsh Harriers in particular, the shots always look quite soft, because what we've got is this heat haze obstructing the view of the Harrier, and so that the images they have a painterly feel to them. Occasionally it'll come over the water and there'll be less heat haze, and they're the shots where you get the cleaner shots, or you want it a little bit closer, because it's not cold, it's not warm out there at all. Yet you can see the heat haze when you're looking through the viewfinder. It's just dropped into the reeds at the moment, so I'm tracking and constantly looking in the direction of where it dropped in, hoping that it lifts back off again and maybe comes close and gives us another little glimpse of it. Oh my, the Marsh Harrier just did a flyby right in front of the window. We were just debating on whether to leave, and I was saying to Jen that, they always stay just that bit too far out, and bang, right in front of us. I mean, she was that close. It was a female Marsh Harrier, she was that close. You could see the coloration in the eye.
What she'd have for breakfast.
Yeah, I hope to God that they come out on pictures as good as they look on the back of the camera, because they looked. Just been chimping on the back of the camera. I think I've got a few. To be honest, I needed to throw all my gear away if I didn't, because she came right across in front of us. And the best part about it is because one, she was close, and two, it was over the water as opposed to the reed bed. There's very little in the way of heat haze, so I can't even blame soft images on that. I think I've got one or two there. That has got to be the closest encounter I've had with the Marsh Harrier. It's a bird that I've seen frequently, yet they always seem that little bit too far, and the images always seem that little bit too soft. But I think they were okay. So we decided to move on to the next hide. It's always a pull to come away from a hide, particularly when it's been quite successful, and we've seen quite a few photographic opportunities. But it's a big reserve. It's a big reserve, and it's got lots to offer, so it would be silly for us not to explore some of the other hides. Interestingly, coming away from the water and now walking through the reeds, as you can see on either side of me, you can feel the heat coming off them reeds. They definitely retain an element of warmth, and obviously they shelter from the wind. So we're at the next hide now. I think this is called Marsh. Was it Marsh Hide?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was called Marsh Hide, and we've got Avocet, which was one of the species I was hoping to see here today. And we've got an Avocet really quite close. And then what also is absolutely fantastic, and I'm going to grab my camera again because it's happening right now, is we've got swallows, and the swallows are hovering close to the water and occasionally taking a drink on the wing, which is an absolutely fantastic little spectacle to see. We've got other subjects as well here. There is a pair of shell ducks, we've got a pair of shovelers, we've got a pair of Canada geese with 5 goslings, which is absolutely adorable. They were just in the reeds ahead of us when we first arrived, and they've now pushed off onto one of the islands. And what I find quite interesting about Canada geese is they kind of have this 10-metre exclusion zone around their goslings, and it seems that the ducks are okay to enter that 10-metre exclusion zone, but other Canada geese are not. One of the Canada geese dared to breach the 10-metre exclusion zone and was promptly kicked right out of the area by what I'm assuming is the male, and he's defending his patch. But it's really, really nice to see some really nice behaviour going on what is a very, very busy pond. I mean, there must be, I would say at the moment in front of us, in excess of 50, oh that's quite nice coming in excess of 50 swallows that are all taking water. Occasionally, I think yes, that one there, a house martin. So we've got swallows and the occasional house martin, and the occasional swift as well. But it's absolutely beautiful to watch. How about that then? Cracking little hide. They all seem to be slightly different. That one had less islands in front of it, less tall green grass between the hide and the waterway, which meant you got a better view of it. And obviously we had all the swallows and house martins on that water, which was really nice, if not exceptionally challenging to try and get a photograph of. So we're going to move down now. We'll go past the reception and have a look at the hides at the bottom end of the reserve. Well, there you have it, Blacktoft Sands. What a fantastic and magical 3 hours we've spent at this reserve. We've seen Marsh Harriers in their absolute bucketfuls. They're constantly working the reed beds in front of us, several pairs, which has just been an absolute joy to watch. Not so many avocets. I was expecting to see far more avocets than we've seen this time. My last visit to Blacktoft Sands, which was probably 3 or 4 years ago, I remember distinctly there being huge number of avocet here, and there just doesn't seem to be the numbers there. I'm not quite sure whether that is just the time of the year, and perhaps I came later in the year and the numbers will build. We did see a couple, but certainly not in the numbers I expected to see. And then we saw lots of other birds as well. We saw the pochard, we saw little grebes calling out all the time, which was really nice, little egret. So it's been fantastic, a really, really well worth visiting reserve. And not a million miles away from Top Hill Low and South Cave Wetland, or North Cave Wetland, I can't remember which way around that goes. And also well within range of Bempton Cliffs. So if you're over in this area and you're thinking of making a little mini tour of it, why not drop into RSPB Blacktoft Sands? A wonderful reserve and possibly some of the best encounters with Marsh Harriers I've had to date. If you've enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like. If you're not yet subscribed, please consider doing that as well. It does wonders for the channel, costs you absolutely nothing. Want to show that little bit of extra support? We've got a buy me a coffee, link will be at the bottom of the page. So from the stunning Marsh Harriers and from the freezing cold but beautiful RSPB Blacktoft Sands, until next time, ta-ra.